Just before the video starts, I would like to shout out Kim Andre Morsel, Lord Hesus, Akabasto, Lee Sullivan, Sazabolks, and Juan Chocolate for subscribing to the channel. If you want a shout out like them, subscribe to me and comment it down below or message me in game. Anyway, on to the actual video now. Hello and welcome, this is Waffles1738 here, back with another video. And basically, in this video, I've got two friends of mine called Alpha and South, both from LUXM, to do some battles with different commanders, and I can show you which ones are better and how it works. And it's also really entertaining with their T5 and everything like that. So you can see now, in the top left, there is Yisung Guy with Sun Tzu, both 6 stars, with 210,000 T5 archers for Alpha. But it is looking pretty equal here, but South deals more damage to Alpha at one point, and then it switches the other way round. So they're both getting equal amounts of hit, but the damage is more against South when they have their prime times on this. So, while Sun is a infantry commander, you only lose half of one skill. So there is massive AoE from YSG and Sun Tzu, but stacking skill damage boost. So basically, you'll find out at the end, and I'll tell you, because basically Cavs really should have won here, but they were just nuked out by YSG and Sun Tzu. It was just too much for them, and they did lose the battle. So in this scenario, you can see how Sun Tzu with YSG leading Sun Tzu is better than Minamoto with Cao Cao, and also it's more free to play than Minamoto and Cao Cao. Sorry, it's Cao Cao, I don't know. I used to say it wrong, just trying to learn how to say it. Anyway, but yeah, you can see that, because you need to buy Minamoto, that's the only way you can level him up. So YSG would be more free to play with Sun Tzu, and you can see that it does beat the Minamoto with Cao Cao. Obviously you don't but you obviously don't have the T5. So you can see the battle report in the top left, and it's not too much different. It's 10k, which is honestly quite a lot when it's T5 times. So in this second battle here, we have Richard leading Charles with infantry, and Minamoto leading Cao Cao with cavalry, obviously. So you can see that at the moment it's looking pretty equal, and the damage towards the other player is equal, really, and there is more damage going towards the Mina at this time, but when it nukes, the Richard does take quite a lot of damage, and that seems to put it level again. So Alpha is leading the Minamoto and Cao Cao army, and then South is leading the Richard and Charles army. So you can see that the Richard and Charles is a very defensive one, and the Minamoto with Cao Cao is also very is kind of more attackive. So they kind of like contrast against each other, and the more free to play option in this case would be Richard and Charles, as you don't have to pay for them, and Richard comes out early on the wheel, and Charles is just a chest legendary, which you don't have to buy, so you just have to get lucky to get him with gold keys. But Minamoto, the only way you can get him is by buying him, and he only becomes useful when it's a 5-1-1-1 at least. But you really want a 5-5-1-1 at the least, really. If you want to get Mina, you want to go big with him. You don't want to just not do much with him. So yeah, it is the more free-to-play option, and Chow Chow, you can get him from chests, just like Charles, and it's really just luck at that point. But you can see here that the Richard is losing, when usually you'd think that they would win. So it is looking equal, but at the moment the Richard is doing worst. So Richard / Charles should really win. Neither the Richard or the Charles that South was using were expertise, none of them were, but where both alphas were expertise, were both level 60. Also, in the first battle, Alpha did have alliance buffs, by the way, so that probably did help him, although he did still lose the battle. So yeah, the Richard is not going great here. It doesn't look great for him. Also, I have been seeing that it's Minamoto leading Chow Chow, but it's actually Minamoto leading YSG in this battle. And that is where it's really hard for the Richard and Charles to stay against, because there is YSG on its own has a huge nuke damage, and Minamoto on its own has a massive nuke damage as well. So if you put them together, you can just imagine how bad the nuke is going to be on the Richard, and that's why the Richard and the Charles need to be really good defensively, or they're going to be taking a lot of damage, because they don't have any attacking skills, so they're just defending and putting up their shields, whereas Minamoto and YSG just keep on hammering them with their nukes. So that's where Richard and Charles, that's why they lost, really. And you will see that they will go running home in a moment. So in the top, the bottom left, you're about to see the buffs in this battle. And you can see here in the bottom left that most of the buffs were against South. He was winning 4 of the buffs, but they were the infantry buffs, and that was what he was using. But Alpha was winning on the cavalry buffs, which he was using, so therefore it kind of levels out, and it was more to do with the commanders. So you can see the battle report here, and you can see that Alpha lost almost just half of what South did. 40k lost T5, and then there's nowhere near as many for Alpha on that of losses of T5. So you can see here that Minamoto with YSG was better. So this is another battle here where Alpha has stayed the same with T5 cavalry and Minamoto with YSG, so it's still going to have massive nuking. But South has chosen to go with Richard still leading, but instead of Charles he has chosen Adolfled. So you can see that damage is being dealt to Alpha, but there is also a lot of healing from Richard, so they're working well together, but the nukes are just still overpowering them, and the healing is a lot less than what they're being nuked by. So it's very nukey still against Richard. There's a little less healing, but there's more attacking, which you'll find out that it helps, but not by much, but it still helps a little bit more than Richard with Charles. You can see that the damage is, like, it's gonna be Alpha's win already. Like, you can see it. The damage is on Alpha's side, well, the overall damage is going against Alpha, but when the nukes come in, it really puts down South. And it's just the nukes. The nukes are so overpowered here, and that is what's winning it. So Minamoto with YSG is really unstoppable. It's a really pay-to-win pair, but if you can afford them, it's very unstoppable, and it's a very good pair to choose. The YSG is dealing less damage than the Mina to the Richard and Adelfled, and you can see the Adelfled power-up is doing less than 1,000 damage, so it's nowhere near as good as Minamoto and Richard. Minamoto and YSG, sorry. The Richard is healing very quickly, but not quick enough, and that just does make it really hard to come up against. So if you're going against Mina and YSG, you need to have multiple armies attacking on them, because you can see here that the Mina nuke is more powerful than the YSG nuke, and the Mina nuke can only target one, but YSG is AoE, so it will target multiple armies. But if you're attacking multiple armies, you will be able to take it out quick enough, and it won't be that bad. So, yeah, the Adelfled is not doing nearly enough damage to make an effect, really. At this point, it's really just Richard on his own, because Adelfled's damage is very low. Right now, it's only 421. Whereas YSG and Minamoto's are still very high and doing 3,000 damage each time. So, yeah, the Richard and Adelfled are going to be sent home soon. So, you can also, I'll tell you that even though neither of the Richard or the Adelfled are expertise, the T5 infantry and total tank build with Richard and Charles is tough to beat, even with nuke and cab damage bonus from Telltale. But you can see here that in the battle report, that Adelfled with Richard worked better, but not by much, and but I would still use them over Richard and Charles, depending on what levels I have them. So this is the fourth and final battle of this video. I have got some more that I might upload in another video if you guys like this one. So you can see here that it is Sun Tzu leading Adelfled against YSG leading Sun Tzu. So there's a lot of AoE coming from YSG and Sun Tzu against Sun Tzu and Adelfled. YSG and Sun Tzu would be good in big open field playing, as there's a lot of AoE there, a lot of nuking and AoE there, so that would be very good there. And you can see that it's the YSG with Sun Tzu is really overpowering the Sun Tzu with Adelfled. The overall damage is against YSG, but when the nukes come, it's against Sun Tzu, and it's just too powerful to accept. And this is quite a quick battle because of all the nuking that's going on, and that just shows you how powerful both these armies are. So they're both really good armies, I would say, but the YSG with Sun Tzu is better, but the Sun Tzu with Adelfled would be more free to play, as you get a lot of Adelfled sculptures from Expedition and stuff like that, so that's easier to get than Sun Tzu is. So yeah, so it's kind of very hard to defeat any of these armies. There's just a lot of nuking going on here. the YSG just overpowers is better than Sun Tzu in this situation. But the Sun Tzu with YSG is a very good pairing, and you can see that it worked well here. In the bottom left, you can see the battle report, and Alpha's damage was 2 times more than South's, and that just tells you that YSG with Sun Tzu was a lot better than Sun Tzu with Adelfled. But Sun Tzu with Adelfled is still a good army, and you can see that the levels of the commanders were very much the same, so it is the nuking that was the main factor here. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to me. It would mean a lot. If you would like a shout out, subscribe and comment down below that you've done so. Anyway, thanks for watching. Goodbye.